All right, back on TYT Sports. Doc Rivers throwing some shade, maybe. The headlines want you to believe he's throwing a lot of shade at Chris Paul. I think he's throwing no shade at all. I think Doc Rivers, Papa Doc Rivers, remember 8 Mile, Papa Doc? No?
Papa Doc Rivers, 8 Mile the movie?
Do you remember 8 Mile?
No, don't remember enough to know the names of the characters other than the guy who played Eminem.
One of the beat rap. It's like one of the guys he goes head to head with in the rap battle. Papa Doc.
Interesting.
Yeah. So Doc Rivers, I don't know, he kind of twisted his own words, and I don't know. I'm just gonna get right to it. Question: with Chris Paul gone, how do you envision your style of play changing? Doc Rivers said, "Well, we'll have ball movement. That's one of the things, for the most part, that I've always preached. With Chris's skill, he wanted to take advantage of what he could do. He was a guy that needed the ball to make plays, and he did it so well that you kind of changed to do that. If you look at my work historically, it's been more of a ball movement cut basketball team, and that's what we're going to get back to doing." And I don't get how this would be shade. That is what Chris Paul does. He does hold the ball time of possession more so than anybody else in the league. He is one of the best point guards in the NBA historically and currently.
Yeah.
That's his game, and when you have that type of player, you mesh to that player's game. It would be like saying, yeah, LeBron really plays like that point forward. Passing's one of his best assets, but I think we should play way more to Kevin Love's game on the Cavs.
Yeah, I agree. If this is shade, then I'm not hiding under it in a warm Californian day because that will get burnt to the core. Yeah, so of course you're going to adjust to a player that's so talented, not to mention you don't exactly have a plethora of other weapons at your arsenal when he happened to be on the Clippers at that point. Chris Paul was the go-to. You make sure that you utilize him to the best of his ability, even though I still didn't think they did it enough, especially in the fourth quarter. That should have been the motto, being like, okay, let's continue to give it to Chris Paul. Let's ignore the fact that you might want it to give to Blake Griffin at any means possible. So it's not shade, it's just adjusting. It's like, for instance, it's a little bit more far-fetched, but all of a sudden you get rid of Steph Curry, you get rid of Klay Thompson, you get rid of Kevin Durant, and you bring in more, I would say, stereotypical in the post players. You wouldn't turn around and be like, yeah, we're going to try and get the ball in the paint more. We're not going to shoot as many threes. That wouldn't mean to say, oh no, we don't want to shoot threes. It's just like those guys are good at doing that.
So you're saying it's basically if the Warriors brought in Jahlil Okafor, Nolan's Noel, and everybody else left, and they said, Draymond Green, we need you to take 15 threes a game.
Exactly. We're going to keep doing what we wanted. What we were used to doing.
With your very pretty looking jump shot.
Yeah.
Hey, it goes in.
Remember that time where I said that Draymond would drain threes all over Charles Barkley, and people in the comments were like, what is he Draymond, and then the next game, he made his first 5 three-point shots against, I believe, the Jazz. And I was sitting there, popcorn, salted, of course, with a little bit of sweet. Easily enjoying it.
Eat your salted popcorn. I want to talk about the last part of this quote because historically, his work wasn't really ball movement cut basketball team. The Celtics, with Rondo especially coming up, they started to actually run similarly what you kind of saw with DeAndre and Chris Paul in somewhat of a similar way. I don't want to actually call it exactly what it is, but it was also find Ray Allen to pop threes in the corner or let Kevin Garnett dominate in the mid-range in the post. And they had such, I mean, you went from how many Hall of Famers? There's 3. Rondo's not a Hall of Famer. No. My old roommate Ben thinks Rondo's a Hall of Famer. He loves Ray John.
Do we know though?
He says he's the greatest point guard
Misunderstood?
ever played the game. It's like when I call Jamal Crawford the greatest player.
It's just a fan.
It's the same joke. But Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett. I'm not missing anybody. No, the Heat had 4 Hall of Famers.
Scalabrine.
I'm sorry, my God, Scalabrine.
I just can't believe that.
So 3 Hall of Famers. I believe Chris Paul's a Hall of Famer. I don't really actually, I think Blake might statistically be able to put up enough, but I don't think so. DeAndre Jordan's not either. So you had more skilled players and you were playing to their strengths. Paul Pierce, one of the most clutch shooters in the NBA. Who's calling you now?
Unbelievable.
Who's calling you? Is it Richard? Is it Richard Strom? Calling me.
He would never be that unprofessional. On camera, he knows.
He knows.
He knows the system.
He knows the system. So I'm confused as to what Doc Rivers' actual game plan is, because we've again said this over and over and over again. He's not an X's and O's guy, he's an ego management guy, but now we're not sure how well he is at managing egos.
I would have loved if he just trolled the media and just went, I think with Chris going, we're gonna now just find more shots for Austin. We're gonna just find more open looks.
Yeah, there's a lot of beef going on there too. Here, I think the Clippers retooled pretty effectively.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give them credit considering they lost their premier point guard. And they lost him at a time where it might have been right for them to part ways anyway. Blake Griffin, who's going to retool against, his game's going to change, I think, entirely. I think you're going to see a very different Blake Griffin next year. I don't think you want to be running your plays through him at the end of games still, but I do believe that they actually added players who can create shots for themselves. Lou Williams can create for himself. Patrick Beverley is a nightmare to play against. Defensively, Patrick Beverley is the most pestering, annoying guy on the pickup court you've ever been. Yeah. You don't want to play basketball anymore when you have to be, when you're guarded by Patrick Beverley. That's a good pickup. And then they also have Bryce. Yeah. Oh, Danilo. Yeah. They needed Gallinari 3 years ago. What are they doing? Ex-Nick. We traded him for Carmelo Anthony, right? That was Gallinari.
Bad decision?
Wilson. At the time, no. My dad, I'll never forget. He goes, I love Gallinari. Why would we ever trade for Carmelo? Gallinari's twice as good as Carmelo.
I feel like the name Gallinari can only be spoken in that sense by a New Yorker. Yeah. Gallinari!
He said, mark my words, this is gonna be the worst trade in NBA history.
I love New Yorkers are always the most outlandish and just certain, not just New Yorkers, East Coasters, such as Jason Rubens, Frank Kaminsky. French name.
Frank Kaminsky's French.
Just the most like upfront, blatant, confident opinions.
Until I get an ethnicity test? Is that what it is?
You're barking up the wrong tree, I don't even know.
No, nationality test, thank you. Wow, ethnicity test, wrong
I'm just gonna let you take the heat for that one and I'll just be happily complicit in the side.
At least I asked.
Yeah.
At least I'm not sitting there going like, make him get his ethnicity tested. I mean nationality. Punctuality, need that tested. What if it turns out he's like 3% French?
I'm sure he might be, but he's not. It's not the fact that he might be French. It's the fact that Kaminsky's not a French name.
No, but what if he was?
It's not. Never.
Be married into the family.
Not even if he had a plethora of croissants on his table, he's still not French. Croissant.
Yeah, shade, man. Shade's been thrown according to the media. I don't think so. Comment below. Favorite, like it, subscribe to it, follow it.